If you're watching this on YouTube and you have a question, comment, suggestion, or maybe you just want to find out more information about the product, you can find the link below. Hello again, I'm Rodney Reynolds from 3GameMan.com and welcome to another video review. Today I'm looking at the SilverStone Raven RV04 full tower case. It's a great looking box with a couple of pictures of the product on it, plus some features and specifications about it. Now this is a pretty heavy case, so they have two holes, one on either side of the case box, so it makes it a bit easier to carry. It's packaged very well between two pieces of styrofoam, and the case itself is in a fabric bag. Sandwiched in a piece of styrofoam is this, an accessory box, and in it they include a user's manual, a video card support bar with a couple of video card clips that go along with it, plus some brackets here for installing 120mm fans, a number of plastic cable ties, and screws. They include protective plastic on the window on the outside as well as on the inside. The overall styling on this case is quite different. Also, you access the inside of the case from the right side panel instead of the left side panel, which is the situation on most cases. Now, this particular case comes in two different options, one with a windowed right side panel and one without. It's a full tower case that measures in at 219 by 581 by 497 millimeters. The capacity is 63.2 liters, and it weighs in at 10.9 kilograms. Now the weight on this case isn't too bad considering that it's mainly constructed of steel, but there's some plastic at the top and at the front. The top panel has a very unique design that continues down onto the front of the case. They have their logo at the top left on either side, and as well there is a removable dust filter here. And at the back, there's a couple of thumb screws and you can remove this top panel. I'll show you that a little later on. The reset and power buttons are at the top on the door. These cannot be used though when the door is open. Now, while you can't use the reset and power buttons that are on the door when the door is open, you can still access them because they are on the main part of the case. On the front of the door, they have their Raven branding, but it's not in your face. It's very, very subtle, as well as an LED. The styling on the front is quite different. It has this kind of grooved, stepped design. And have a look at the door from the front. Notice that it's pretty open on either side, and that's of course to allow the fans to intake cool air. The door is held into place with one magnet that is at the bottom right corner. Note how the door swings. It cannot be reversed, so it cannot swing from the other side. As well, lots of ventilation here for the two included air penetrator 180mm intake fans, and you can control the speed of both of these fans. There's two switches here at the front, a low, medium, and high setting for each. There are two 5¼ drive bays, and these drive bay covers can be removed really easily by pinching on either side like so, and they go back just as easily. At the top right, there are two USB 3 ports, as well as a microphone and headphone jack. Now this ventilation panel here comes right off, and in order to remove it, you can take off either the left or right side panel. It doesn't really matter which one, and then press on a couple of the tabs on the inside and slide it off. As you can see, they include a dust filter. And with the speed control switch here at the top, you've got a number of speed options, 600, 900, or 1200 RPMs. And of course, with that, the noise levels will change 18 to 25 to 34 decibels. Now, alternatively, you can remove these two 180mm fans and use the included 120mm brackets to install up to three 120mm fans, or you could install a 360mm radiator. Now have a look at what a 360mm radiator looks like installed at the front of the case. Now with this particular model, the SilverStone Raven RV04 BW, it includes a window, but of course if you went with the non-windowed version, you would have a plain right side panel. And by the way, the left side panel is plain. At the back of the case, at the very top, is where you would install a standard ATX power supply, and note the rubber rests for the power supply to lodge on. They include 8 ventilated expansion slots, extra ventilation, a place to install an optional 120mm fan, and here is where you would install the motherboard's I/O shield plate. As well, they include 4 thumb screws, 2 on each side panel. Oh, and I should also mention that each of these thumb screws come with plastic washers, and they are there to prevent the thumb screws from scratching the panels, but also to prevent vibrations. Note the provision for a Kensington lock, and of course this is to secure the case. With the right side panel removed, have a look on the inside. Now, thankfully, this case comes with a removable motherboard tray, and as you can see, there is a fair amount of room to work on the inside. This case fits a number of motherboards: the SSI EEB, the SSI CEB, Extended ATX, ATX, and Micro ATX form factor motherboards. There are as well lots of cable management holes and plenty of space behind the motherboard tray and the left side panel, as well as a large hole on the motherboard tray for the cooler's retention plate. And at the bottom of the case, they have this cooler support bar, which is adjustable. And by the way, this support bar not only goes up and down, but also back and forth, so it should work with just about any CPU cooler that's on the market. You can install up to 7 3.5-inch drives, 5 in this removable hard drive cage, and to install drives in this, use screws. But they also include 2 other removable cages at the bottom, which have a toolless design. You just literally slip the drives in and they stay into place. So just to show you how it works here, on these bottom hard drive cages, insert the drive and just push it into place, and it will snap and lock there. Now you can install up to 4 2.5-inch drives, but you will need to really remove these 2 bottom removable 3.5-inch drive cages in order to gain access to install the 2.5-inch drives at the bottom of the case. The expansion slots do not have a toolless design, nor do they have thumb screws, which is a little bit odd, to be honest, because in most situations, if these types of cases do not come with some kind of toolless design on the expansion slots, they will have thumb screws. But they have holes here for easy access to the screws that are on the expansion slots. Now let's go through the video card and power supply length, as well as the CPU cooler height. You can have a video card that is up to 13.3 inches in length, and remember, they do include a video card support bar along with clips if you're worried, that's going to bend, especially if you're transporting the case, going to and from LAN parties and that type of thing. The width restriction for the video cards would be 6.69 inches. Now, the limitation for the power supply is 180 millimeters, and the CPU height is 165 millimeters. With the left side panel removed, have a closer look. You can see all of the cable management holes, even here at the top where the power supply gets installed. So plenty of places to route cables and lots of space behind the motherboard tray to organize them. There is around 15 to 16 millimeters of space behind the motherboard tray and the left side panel. I mentioned earlier that the top panel can be removed, but in order to do so, you'll need to take off both of the side panels and take off 2 of these thumb screws at the back. Once you've done that, you can just slide it and remove it. At the bottom, they include 4 rubber feet. Finally, have a listen to the stock cooling, first at the low setting. Medium setting. And the high setting. Now, the overall build quality on this case is really good. The styling, I think you're either going to like or you're not. The door on the front as well is a little off. in that, you know, it's kind of like not a door really, it's like a cover that swings open, but it's done that way to provide ventilation and to allow the front fans to intake lots of cool air. Now, this isn't the cheapest full tower case that's on the market, but it's certainly not the most expensive one either. I think it's pretty affordable when you consider all the features that it has. Overall, this is a 100% kick-ass product. Until next time, take care. How do you think this product stacks up? To vote, head on over to 3dgameman.com, and while you're there, check out the pricing.